Our next speaker is from Good Shepherd Services, based in Kota Kinabalu. Imelda has more than 20 years of experience across administration, marketing, social services, and project management. At Good Shepherd Services, or GSS, she works closely with communities across Sabah and Ipoh, leading initiatives that support women's livelihoods and leadership, youth empowerment, community leadership, and learning. Today, Imelda oversees GSS projects across both locations, working to ensure that these initiatives are well coordinated and, most importantly, respond to the needs of the communities they serve. Please welcome to the stage Imelda George from Good Shepherd Services.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you to Yayasan Hasanah for having me here to share about a very important topic. So my friend from Sabah, Ruth and Rahman, they have shared also important issues in Sabah, but my topic, I would say maybe a little bit heavy. So I will be talking about gender-based violence, specifically on domestic violence. So maybe I can start with this statement first. Violence is not in our culture, but the silence is what allows it to become one. Okay. So Malaysia, we will be celebrating 69 years of independence, right? But independence actually is not just about, celebration, flags, maybe parades. But I think we need to also ask ourselves, how about safety? How about dignity? And actually for Good Shepherd Services, nearly for almost 69 years, I think 68 years, we have welcomed women to our crisis shelter, and we have helped women and children rebuilding their lives after experience of violence. But yet, I am reflecting on a book that I have read recently, which was published by Sawo. Sawo has closed. They are champion on such issue as well, gender-based violence. And in the book, the women in Sabah ask, kami taraf apa? What is my place? What is my worth? And I think no women should ask that question, right? But in Sabah and perhaps in other places in Malaysia, many still do. Because one of the reasons is because violence strips away dignity and worth. So, violence, it begins with norms that we accept, that we tolerate. So it's not just physical acts. And in GSS, we have welcomed women that come to our crisis shelter carrying nothing but just, clothes that they are wearing. And they're also bringing the children with them. And what they carry most was invisible, actually. Fear of what? Fear of being found. Shame of being judged, even though they are victims. And doubt whether people will believe their story. Because sometimes people don't. And behind every statistic, is a woman with a story. So I will share 2 stories today. And the first one, let me share with you the story of Julia. So Julia is not her real name. So Julia was a mother of 3. She came to our crisis shelter. She endured 8 years of abuse. And one day, she asked me to come with her to accompany her to a court hearing. So this hearing is a really important hearing for her because it will determine whether she will be freed, she will be able to divorce from the abuser. So the abuser didn't show up, which worked, in her favor. And because of the urgency of her situation, the judge granted granted her divorce with immediate effect. So that was quite a victorious moment, actually. And I remember she turned to me after she heard that, what the judge had said, and burst into tears and said to me, "Miss, saya sudah bebas. I'm free." And Julia managed to rebuild her life, found a job. Her children went back to school. She got family support, fragile, but it was still there. So her story shows what's possible in this scenario. But we know that possibility is not enough if violence keep happening, keep repeating. So at GSS, we do far more than respond to violence. After violence happens, we work with children, with schools, with communities, with families. And Yayasan Hasanah has supported us in community initiatives that advocates against violence towards women and children, such as our project in Tambunan. And we have learned through all these experiences that something powerful, which is if violence is learned, then respect can be learned as well. If harmful norms can be passed from one generation to another, to the next, then healthier norms can be passed on as well, right? So that is how we see it, that is how prevention begins. And that also what Merdeka should mean, right? That freedom is not only from colonial rules, but freedom from violence and fear. I'm not sure if I have the time to talk about Linda, but not all stories actually ended like Julia. Some stories, it doesn't end with a happy ending. So such is the case with Linda. And in her desperation, I remember she was asking me because her case was complicated, so she didn't get a protection order, and her support system was very weak, so almost non-existent. But this is what I remember. She asked me, after learning about all, that she might not have enough support to pursue her case, she asked me, "Miss, siapa lagi yang boleh tolong saya? Who else can help me?" So our shelter became her only refuge. We supported her, and she began rebuilding her lives, actually. But unfortunately, through that journey, her abuser found her. So he pulled her back with the children under under his control. So Linda's story reminds us that freedom is not guaranteed, that it is fragile, and it demands courage from all of us. So I will just leave you guys before today with this question. Remember when the women in Sabah asked, "Apa taraf kami?" Perhaps now we should ask ourselves, the same question. We now, it must now become our question as a nation. What country are we? What Malaysia do we choose to become? And let's build a Malaysia where no one ever again has to ask, "Apa taraf kami?" Because the question is no longer theirs, but it's ours. Thank you.